It's the end of the year, which means it's that time where we like to rank people and see exactly how we feel about them, specifically in positional order. Gio, you watch more Premier League football than actually genuinely anyone I know. I can't
Oh,
lie.
is that a good thing or a bad thing?
They're both. I think when we do opposition previews, you're often really knowledgeable. You say stuff that, like, when I watch other opposition previews, for example, they wouldn't be able to pick out. So I think it's a good thing, you know.
But a concerning thing.
I think you could just do something else with your time, I guess. You know what I mean? Could be, I don't know.
Yeah, not everyone finds Burnley against Nottingham Forest entertaining, but here I am.
Oh, and it's useful for right now, this second. So we're talking team of the season. First question: formation. How are we moving forward formationally?
4-2-3-1. I think team of the
Okay.
season kind of has to be a 4-2-3-1 or a 4-3-3 in order to accommodate the
Sure.
majority of player position. There's not many teams in the Premier League with a three at the back anymore. Wolves, Sheffield United occasionally, Chelsea sometimes, but mainly teams have four defenders. So I'm sticking with that. I've gone with a 4-2-3-1.
Okay, I respect it. I respect it. Then we'll got this. Should we work through it? Goalkeeper up. Should we end with the exciting
Yeah,
thing that
go on
everyone
then.
enjoys?
Yeah, go on.
Okay, let's start. Goalkeeper then. What are we saying?
Right, a couple of contenders. Rhea is obviously an obvious one. Golden Gloves. I feel like it's more of a defense thing with him, though, which will be obvious later on in the video. I'm a big
Sure,
fan
I
of
agree.
Emi Martinez.
Yeah.
Weirdly, I think Onana had a really good season. Really bad start, very terrible start.
Sure.
But as the season progressed, I thought he got better and better. He was very busy, was Onana, just like Ariel at West Ham. Very busy goalkeeper. But I am going for Jordan Pickford.
Ooh,
Yes.
I'm intrigued. The dinosaur short arms man himself.
Yeah, I think because I think he's been the best goalkeeper in the Premier League this season.
That's how it
There you go.
goes.
That's what this
Simple
video is
as.
all about. But didn't concede many goals. Everton, one of the most clean sheets in the Premier League. Only Rhea had more clean sheets than Jordan Pickford. Everton had one of the best defences in the season. When you look at the league position, I think sometimes we can perhaps forget that they've had a points deduction in there, which has obviously
Yeah,
dragged them down a little bit. So
yeah.
without that, I think they'd be 11th in the league, which is more than respectable. And whilst Rhea's obviously had more clean sheets, I think the way Arsenal play in their defence is better and provides more protection for Rhea. And don't get me wrong, I think Bradthwaite and Tarkowski have both had good seasons for Everton. But I think Pickford's been the best goalkeeper.
Yeah, I can respect that. I do think there is an element of, like, they do get that little benefit because of the defense ahead of them. I think that's sort of common about everyone. I remember back when we had Jaskalainen in goal, and he was by far and away like doing the most saves out of anyone by like a huge distance. That's because our defense was just not stopping anything
It
at
wasn't
all.
a defence.
No, so you just got Double J in goal, just trying his best at his big age. Interesting that you haven't mentioned either Allison or Edison.
Injuries have dictated a
I
little part
guess.
in that.
Fair.
I think Alisson's the best goalkeeper in the league, but he's just
Okay.
injured too much and perhaps hasn't been in. I think he's been better last season. Same with Ederson, really. I think Ortega has done well when came in, but yeah, I'm sticking with Pickford.
I think the other person I would throw in as like a tip of the hat,
Go on.
honourable mention type thing. I think Vicario. I'm shocked at how well he's done, because I thought post Lloris they would just be done in. I was like, how the hell do you do it? And I'm genuinely be surprised when I've watched them how just like decent he's actually been.
First half of the season, yes, but I feel
Fair.
like everybody caught on to his weakness with crosses, and I think it ended up costing them a few points. I think a goalkeeper with a glaring weakness is a concern, and I think
Mm,
Vicario was exploited a little bit with that. Now that's a manager thing with Postecoglou for not helping him. There was too
yeah.
many games I've seen where somebody would put a man on him and there was just nobody protecting him. I thought, your
Mm,
goalkeeper's weak at corners, so why would you not offer him that extra protection? But he never got it. I think that I get why you throw Vicario in, and we did this at Christmas for the first half of the season. I think he might have been my choice, but I just feel
mm,
like by the end of the season, everybody was targeting him at set pieces.
yeah. That's fair. Then Do you want to do both fullbacks, or do you want to work your way across the back
You
line?
pick, you're the host, you
All right,
choose.
right back first. Then we'll work our way across.
Yeah, well, funny enough, both fullbacks are my controversial takes here, and I'm not
Ooh.
trying to be edgy. This is just my honest opinion. So my right backs, there was two I feel stood out, and neither of them will be perhaps popular. One is Dalot of Man United, and another one is Gusto of Chelsea. I think both of them have been absolutely fantastic. But I'm going to go with Gusto. I think he's been superb down that right-hand side. So much so, I think he's Chelsea's main right-back now. And I know Reece James doesn't really like playing football at the moment. When he does, he gets sent off, so he doesn't have to play football again. But I think there's a case now he doesn't get back into that team immediately. I think he's had a really good season down that right side. Defensively strong, offensively really good. I've been very impressed by him. He caught my attention when we played Lyon. And then when he went to Chelsea, but they didn't have him immediately, he's gone in there. And I thought he was going to struggle to displace Reece James. I thought it was a bit of a mistake going there. I thought, why would you go up against one of the best right backs in the league when you're very capable yourself? But actually, it's been justified a little bit. I think he's been fantastic.
Yeah, no, I agree. I was really I thought he'd made a bad career decision. Straight up. I was like, going to Chelsea seems insane when they've got Reece James. It just seems like a mad decision. And it was when they were spending loads of money. And I'm like, well, get the money while it's there, I guess. But it's a shame because I was really impressed by him when we saw him as well at Lyon. And I thought that this is a guy who's got a legit career ahead of him, a really good career ahead of him, and he's just gone to Chelsea where he's just not going to play. And yeah, I agree. I mean, he's maybe got a bit lucky because of Reece James being unable to play, but it's put him in good stead, and I would struggle to replace him as well. I think he is genuinely that good, and I thought Dalot might be your pick.
Yeah,
Dalot was when we spoke about this video, I was like, he'll pick Dalot. That was one of the ones that came into my head.
Yeah, I think if anyone chose him, I wouldn't say you're wrong. I'm not going to disagree with anyone. I think he's been really good. I think he's been by far Man U's best player. I think he's been excellent. At left back as well as right back, he's played both sides of defence. I think he's been really good either side, actually. And he's really, really come on. He's really developed his game recently. And, there's been talk for the last couple of seasons that Man U need a right back, and they still might do with Wan-Bissaka expected to leave. But I'm not sure. I think a year ago, 2 years ago, you'd have went and spent big on a right back, but I don't know if you do that anymore. I think they've got the big right back now. Yeah, good performances.
Should have joined West Ham when he had the chance.
Let's
go for the centre backs.
Bowen, Charlie. I'm going with Saliba and Gabriel. I think there's been a lot of centre backs. I think had good spells this season. I think Van der Ven at Spurs. I think Van Heck at Brighton's been brilliant. Yeah. I think Van Dijk's had a bit of a redemption as well. When you take context into consideration, which is centre back was changing pretty much every week. The right back was changing, and the left back was changing. He was the only guy that was consistent all season through injuries and whatnot. So I think he's had a good season, Van Dijk. But I think Gabriel and Saliba have just been a level above everybody else, to be honest with you. And this is the reason I feel Real's got the golden gloves. And Ben White has played his part in that as well. But there's been a lot of games Arsenal have won, big games Arsenal have won, where I think it's come down to their defence. They're really disciplined, really well organised. They go into their low block defensive shape, and they're just near impossible to break down sometimes. They don't have a weakness, and they've obviously got somebody in front of that defence helping them too. But I think them two have been an absolute rock at the back for Arsenal. So, yeah, Saliba and Gabriel.
Yeah, it'd be interesting. This is one of the ones where it'd be interesting if we did a system where you would pick one player from each team. Because it's who do you sacrifice out of that? Because
yes, we're doing that next month if enough people want to see it.
Let us know in the comment section below. We'll be getting on that next month when there's now all to talk about. I think realistically, it's like what you're saying with the goalkeeper. It makes sense just because they're so good and they've been so good that it's almost impossible not to pick them together. What about left back though? This
is a controversial one because I don't think there's been anybody exceptionally good at left back in Premier League this season.
I'll be honest with you. This conversation has been going for a couple of years now. There's not that many in the world. When I think about these left backs that are just killing the game, I'm like, every so often you get another one pop up, but none of them are I don't know. None of them are. Marcelo, when Marcelo was just the best left back for ages. You just don't have that anymore. It doesn't feel like.
Yeah. I think Gavardi will finish the season really strong. But I feel like it took a little while for him to sort of get into the City team and sort of show what he can do. And I think if the season has a couple of months to go, I think he would maybe be my choice. However, it doesn't. And people are going to... And the good thing about this video, Charlie, or the bad thing is, everybody's going to disagree.
Sure.
Nobody's watching this agreeing with all 11 of my picks, and that's fine. It's all about opinions, but this is my honest opinion. My left back is Anthony Robinson of Fulham. I'm not even taking the
Ooh,
piss. I think he's been really good. When I've watched
respect
Fulham,
it.
he's impressed me a lot. He's been really consistent, and it's all relative. Fulham have had a decent season for what Fulham were hoping to achieve, which is to stay away from. They were never in a relegation battle. They've had a decent season for Fulham. I think he's had a big part to play in that.
Yeah.
I don't recall him having a bad game too often when I've watched Fulham, but I recall him having a lot of good ones when I've watched him. So I am picking Robinson in my team of the season. I'm not even trying. Listen, if you're going to accuse someone of clickbait or whatever, right? Putting Robinson in your team of the season is not the way to go about click. This is a poor decision for clickbait, right? You might think it's a poor decision for team of the season. It's an even worse decision if it was going to be clickbait. Robinson, I think, has been the most consistent and possibly the best left back in the Premier League this season.
Love that.
I
Well, we know
said
if we did the one from each team, we know who'd be picking from Fulham. To be fair, he's been really good. He's been really good. Another person we've been linked very, very heavily with at one point. To be fair, what about the two? What about the two in front? Let's do those from the midfield. The two sitters.
You can probably guess some. Do you want to try and take a guess?
I would guess Declan Rice is probably in there.
And
If
who
you want
else?
to put him in there, I mean, he's been in a 3. He's been playing fab, but in a 4-2-3 one, it makes sense. Next to him, Rodri.
Yep, bang on.
Yeah.
Two world-class players. There's not many of them in the Premier League, but these two are both world-class. Very consistent from start of the season to the end of the season. I think if you take either of them out of their team doesn't perform as well, that you miss them. And you can say that about most teams. However, if you were to take certain players out, like if you were to take Saka out of Arsenal, I think Arsenal still might go win the game. But you take
Sure.
Rice out, not sure. I think you really notice a drop-off if you remove Declan Rice from that Arsenal team. Just like Rodri, listen, say they didn't have De Bruyne for large parts of the seasons or Haaland, they still won the games. You take Rodri out, however, and I think they become a lot weaker for the impact. I think both of them have been by far the best centre midfielders in the Premier League for that area. I think Odegaard is one that I've missed out, and Alexis McAllister, I've missed him out as well. Big fans of both. I think they both had a strong season. McAllister in particular I thought was excellent in parts, but I just feel that Rice and Rodri are just a level above, but also very, very consistent and very important.
What scares me about they're both going to be here for such a long time.
Yeah,
Because they play positions that are like, used to going on a bit longer or whatever. I think about, like with Rodri, I think about Yaya Toure, Fernandinho. Fernandinho was there for God knows how long. And I'm like, man, those two could just be running Premier League midfields for the next comfortably 5, 6, 7 years. And it just wouldn't be that deep. It's kind of crazy to think about.
Yeah.
What about the one ahead of them? So we'll do the 3 now. Who's the one who's just ahead of those two?
There's no surprises here. I'm going to go Cole Palmer.
Sure. Yeah, fair enough.
Mr. Chelsea almost a little bit, isn't it? I think a bit of a strange one because there's been some games I've watched where he's perhaps not been that good but still scored a goal. I almost hate him. I'm like, how dare you be so talented that you don't even have to try and you still score? But there's also been other games where I've watched him. He's just dictated it. The opposition players have struggled with him. He goes where he needs to go in order to influence the game as well. I'm not a big fan of his celebration, that whole thing. I just don't know. I don't like it. It's a very weak effort as well. It's just guy looks unhappy to have scored goals. But yeah, Cole Palmer, he's been absolutely sensational. Like a big transfer for him. And it was important he got this transfer right because had he got it wrong, he could have gone on to almost have like an average Premier League career, perhaps. But Pochettino's been good for him. He's been good for Chelsea. It's an incredible first season at Stamford Bridge. I think this has been a hugely successful transfer. And Man City often sell youngsters, and they tend to not get it wrong. This could be one of the ones actually they've messed up on a little bit here.
Yeah, I guess the only other one you'd look at would probably be Douglas Luiz.
Yeah, and even then, just taking a while for it to be proven wrong. But you look at all the one, even the ones that leave with a bit of hype, like Bazunu, when he went to say, "Oh, hell, this guy's going to go on and be really good." James Trafford, it's like, well, they still might, but not yet. Palmer, after one season, I think he's already suggested you made a bit of a mistake there.
Do you think Palmer's gonna? Do you think he'll be able to continue it next year? Like, is this just a one season purple patch type thing? Not that he's gonna drop off. I don't think he's gonna drop off the face of the earth or anything. But just whether or not he can maintain such a ridiculously high level or not.
No, because it's very rare, isn't it? I think he'll still have a good season. He'll still be a damn good player. Obviously, it hinges on who the new Chelsea boss is, but I still think he'll hit double figures. But the levels he put in this season, the goals he scored as well, is a little bit obscene. So for him to do that again, those are the numbers of a world-class player. And I wouldn't describe him as a world-class player yet. But if he was to produce those numbers a couple more seasons, you almost have to, regardless of his ability. You've got to say, well, what he does, can't really say he's not.
Let's go right wing first.
Saka.
Left wing?
Saka.
Let's do both at the same time, actually. Left wing? Who's on either side?
Saka on the right, Foden on the left.
Foden on the left, okay, sure.
Because he has played on the left.
I'm thinking back to the picking. What was it we did with Gonzo? Was that England? That was a World Cup thing, wasn't it? And we had a big argument about where Phil Foden should play, and Gonzo put Phil Foden on the right, I think.
Yeah.
I can't remember what that was. Maybe best ball plays.
You can put him anywhere for Phil Foden. You can put him anywhere, and I think one thing Pep does well with Foden is move him. So if he's not influencing the game, he will just move him to the other side or move him central. And I think his best games come when he's almost given a free role, like when he played against us at the Etihad. He was just bare in the middle of the pitch. He had Doku on one side, Silva on the other, and he was just allowed to go where he wants. And he's bloody good enough to do that. I mean, it's wild to think that Man City have someone that has a free role, because it's like, well, you've got so many good players. Can you afford to give just one guy? You shouldn't have someone as a free role because your players are so good. And it's almost like what you'd expect somebody lower down the table, like ourselves, Brighton, that actually have that playmaker. You build your team around him. And I'm not saying City have done that, but the shackles are off Foden, and when they are, he's just an incredible player. So I don't like putting people in the wrong positions. But I've seen Foden on the left this season, so I'm putting him on the left of my team, right? But
I can respect. No, I can respect it. I can respect it. He's got the license that Messi used to have at Barca. He's in the team, but the rest of the team sort of works, and he just sort of does whatever he wants. Not to compare him to Messi, but there we go. And then Saka, I mean, I agree. I actually, when you talk about Palmer, how you like, I sort of hate him a bit. I don't like. There's something about Foden I just do not like. I don't know what it is. There was something, he was pissing me off in the game against us, and I don't know what it is, because you know me, I love an absolute crap house merchant. You know, Neil Mopai, love him. I will watch that all day. There is nothing I love more than watching a wind-up merchant just go completely AWOL. But there was something about Foden that day, and it wasn't. And I don't think it was him scoring the goals either, because I'm like, I don't really hold things deeply. It's just pissing me off. But Saka's the exact opposite. I love Saka. I think he's brilliant. And even I remember that video. I can't remember if we spoke about those two specifically against each other. And I said at the time that I would pick Saka over Foden every day because he was more versatile. If we could pick one at West Ham, I would have him because he's more versatile. He's had to do more. He's like grown into the role. He's not just sort of been whatever. And I don't know. Maybe my bias has continued through, but I love Saka, and I just Foden I can't be dealing with. Saka, though, I think. Don't get me wrong, probably equally brilliant footballers. Personally, differently, but I think Saka's brilliant as well. I mean,
neither wind me up, and I don't love either of them. I'm indifferent to both. Maybe it's like an English thing or something. I don't know.
Maybe. I don't know. Saka's brilliant though. He's had a brilliant season. He's like, I remember watching him a couple of years ago. I was speaking to some of my Arsenal friends, and I was like, he's really good. Like because this was the times where he was being used at sort of wing back and doing
when he first broke through, he was being played sort of where he had to go, kind of thing.
But he's indispensable for them, really. I mean, he's incredible.
They needed to try and make Pepe work.
Yes, flipping hell, Nicholas Pepe, Aaron Cresswell's nightmares. Nicholas Pepe.
Surprised force Pepe in, so
couple of. I mean, I don't know where you'd put him. Probably in the 10 position, maybe even deeper. Odegaard, I think, could maybe have got. I think Odegaard's so good.
Yeah, I think so. He's one of my favourite players in the Premier League to watch. I think he's very elegant, which is a weird way of describing a footballer.
No,
But
I agree. I agree.
just when he gets the ball, his movement, his passing, his link-up play, the way he reads the game, because often Arsenal might attack the left back and Odegaard will be over there helping Saka, and they might try and attack the right back, so he'll be over there helping out Trossard or Martinelli. It just really reads the game well, but you can't have like 5 Arsenal players in your team this season. So Saka for me. But if anyone's got Odegaard, I get it. Same with Alexis McAllister, I get it. Like, you don't need to convince me why. I completely understand.
And we would like, and your team in the seasons as well in the comment section below, because I'd be intrigued. I reckon some people would have included Bowen and wouldn't have been as harsh as you. Maybe lobbed a Bowen in there. Don't know which position you put him in, up front or whether you put him on the right. Probably on the right. But he's had one heck of a season. But up front, who did you pick?
My man, who I do like despite being English, Ollie Watkins.
Sure. Okay. Yeah. Fair. Totally unreal season.
Incredible player.
Unreal. Ridiculous.
I'm a bit biased. I've got a bit of like a love for Ollie Watkins, and annoyed we didn't get him. Really, I would have loved him at West Ham, but provides goals and assists. That's a bit of Rodri and Rice. Take him out. Saying that, I'm a big fan of Duran. I'll say it now. I haven't said it on the video yet. I'm saying it now. He's the guy I want at West Ham the most this summer as a striker. I think he'll go on to become a top Premier League striker, Duran. But Watkins is just a ridiculously good season. Fantastic.
No, I'm not tempted by Haaland.
I mean, top goal scorer, but
what's interesting about Haaland, and I've heard this, like, a lot of people haven't picked him in his like tuna seasons, right? And I find it so interesting because he was so by far and away the top goal scorer, not even close to him. And yet we all sort of collectively have gone, I guess this season was all right.
Yeah, but I think there's a big difference to, listen, I'm not saying he's right, but I understood his argument here. But Mikel Antonio claimed you could score 20 goals in Man City team, right? And I'm not saying he would, but I could understand what he's trying to say, which is when you're being fed by Phil Foden, Kevin De Bruyne, Jack Grealish, you've got Doku, Kovacic, Bernardo Silva, you're going to score goals. Ollie Watkins was in front of Diaby, who started the season well, did not finish the season very well. Bailey, in and out of form. Rodgers has joined them in January, and I think he's a great signing. But his supply line is not comparable to Erling Haaland. So to get the numbers he did...
True.
I think if Watkins... As I say, Watkins was at City, he might have scored more than Haaland did. That's a big claim. Leave it in.
It's such a difficult thing because Haaland just kind of is the perfect striker.
Yeah, he is. He's just a bloody machine. When you see what he does, like he bangs in hat tricks in one half of football. It's like, yeah. But I've also seen the guy miss a lot of big chances this season.
There was that one against us. I mean, it was quite. Don't get me wrong. I think
that's not even his worst one.
It was put on, but yeah.
And that's not even the worst one. I've seen him miss a lot of big chances this season. Listen, he's an absolute insane footballer, like a freak of nature. But in terms of like who had the best season, I generally think the answer is Ollie Watkins.
I respect it. I respect it. I don't want
to have a fight. I can't be bothered. But
let's scrap like rollerbladers in Stratford. Let's have a fight over it. I think it's
rollerblade.
I do think it is interesting because the guy won a Premier League. He scored 27 and 31 or whatever it was, and yet still, I think most people would agree with. Because I would agree if I was making my team of the season. I haven't watched anywhere near as much football as Gio has, and I'm not claiming that as that's not a brag. This is a downplay for myself here. But if I was to, I would put Ollie Watkins as well, and I think the vast majority of people would. I just find it really interesting that most people would.
This isn't who is the best 11 in the Premier League. That's a different question. This is who do I think's had the best season, and you have to take expectations into consideration as well. And Haaland is expected to be the top goal scorer. If he's not, it's almost like deemed a failure in his part, just like Man City is expected to win the league. And you could make an argument that Solanke's had a better season than Haaland. I'm not going to make that argument, but someone else might choose to.
I like it though as an argument. I'm feeling it. Getting in there. He did well. How many goals did he get in the end?
I want to say 16, but I'm not 100% sure. But like
Not
Bowen,
100%.
like when people below, I know Bowen will be a common pick below. I get it. Like I do get it. But I just think Saka is a really, really good player. I'm a big fan of Saka.
But I was going to say any honourable mentions you wanted to mention, but I feel like that a lot of those will come
I've
up
done them. I've done
if we
them.
do the only pick one from each team thing next month or whenever it is. If you let us know in the comment section below if you'd want that, then I reckon a lot of those would come up anyway in that conversation. So yeah, Gio, any last words before I sign off?
Yeah, get involved in the comments below. Don't shout at me if you disagree. It's okay to disagree. I'm not saying I'm right. I'm just saying this is what I thought was the best 11 for the season. So
Respect it. Well, thank you for watching, everyone. Like the video if you have enjoyed it. Subscribe because there's plenty of stuff going up over the summer break, and we'll see you next time. Cheers, everyone. Bye.